Hello everyone, I'm Denis Poisson and this is the Foolish Fish Esoteric and Occult Book Roundup for the month of June 2024. These are all the books that I received in the month of June. Some of them I have read and some of them I haven't read, but I just wanted to show you all of the books so that you get an idea of what's inside them, what kind of quality they are, and that kind of stuff. And yes, some of them I have actually read and I can give you an opinion about them already. I'm going to start off with the two books that I received as gifts, and I just want to say thank you so much to Hekate Press and Lewis Masonic, who so kindly sent me a couple of books after checking with me, of course, that I actually wanted to receive these books, and I really did. These were really very important books to me. And so let's start off with this lovely two-book special edition of Jake Stratton Kent's Night School, published by Hekate Press. So these books were out previously, right, from Hekate Press. Let me hop over here to the camera on my phone so I can give you a close-up of these beautiful special editions. So these books had been out previously, right? The regular standard hardcover editions have a very nice cloth cover. These are covered in an imitation leather, it seems to be. I'm guessing that's imitation leather. And they've got these really nice marbled end papers which recall the slipcase, which has got the same pattern, just I think it's a little bit smaller, I think, on the book. And I just really love those colors, that kind of teal and red. It just works so nicely. So that gives you an idea. I think these are out of print already. There were 300 of these that were published, and this is number 63. The inside is almost identical. These ones have got black head and tail bands, and they've also got a black ribbon. The originals didn't have any ribbon. And so the paper is also a little bit more cream colored than the original, which is a little bit more white colored, but the contents, of course, are identical. So very lovely stuff. And thank you so much to Erzbet from Hekate Press for sending me this this beautiful gift. I really like those covers with the with Jake's signature over here. Just really lovely stuff. A beautiful keepsake. Next, we've got The Life and Death of John Yarker. This is published by Lewis Masonic, and the author is David Harrison, who's clearly spent a long time investigating the history of John Yarker, who is one of the most influential figures in esoteric masonry in the early 19th century, I guess, early to mid 19th century. I am very interested in this because my grandmother on my mother's side was a Yarker who came from the north of England, just like John Yarker. And my grandmother was abandoned as a child, and so Yarker isn't a very popular name, not a very widespread name, and so this could potentially be of great interest to me. I received this a few days ago, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it. You can see that there's quite a lot going on here. The paper is quite glossy. The font is certainly very large. You can see it's very easy to read, and there are plenty of color illustrations and figures and scans of important documents throughout the book, right? They tend to be in clusters. Let me see if I can find the next cluster for you guys. I'm probably skipping over them. There are quite a few, actually. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Here's another cluster of illustrations and photos. There we go. So you get an idea of what's going on there. So yeah, John Yarker had a hand in the esoteric branches, the esoteric offshoots of Freemasonry, and was an inspiration, if I understand correctly, for Aleister Crowley. And it would seem like, yes, a lot of modern magical orders would be somehow inspired by the works of John Yarker. Very interested in finding out a little bit more about this intriguing figure. Well, next is this one. It's Raziel's Paths of Power by Jareth Tempest. Now, I've essentially stopped recommending the 72 Angels of Magic from the Gallery of Magic for beginners, and I've started recommending this one instead. I've been using the Kindle edition so far, and I thought, you know what, I'm using it so much, and it's been so effective and so easy to use, and the results have been so immediate that yes, clearly it was the right time for me to actually buy it as a hard copy, right, as a paperback, just to be able to flick through it and find the angels and the various effects, you know, depending on what's needed on a day-to-day basis. These really are the entities that come through for me the most easily. So yeah, it's the reason why I'm so enthusiastic. But it's not just the 72 angels of the Shem HaMepharash, by the way. It is also the Archangel Path Workings Volume 2, and so this has got, if I remember correctly, the 42 angels, right? And then there's also this one, which is significantly larger, as you can see, the Angels of Omnipotence, which is, an entire system for building your own rituals, depending on what it is exactly that you're looking for. So yeah, really, really fantastic stuff. All three of them, I recommend them all. This is the one to start off with. It's the one that gives you the initial details of how to do this particular method. It's all happening in the area of visual imagination. So yes, not one for people with aphantasia, but for everyone else, this is a strong recommendation for me. I love this system, and I find it particularly effective. All right, the next one is this one. It's kind of a shiny one. It's called Fearsome Fairies, Haunting Tales of the Fae, and it's a book by the British Library, and it's got a compilation of various frightening tales about the fair folk dating between the mid-19th century and the mid-20th century, with very well-known and well-loved horror and weird tales authors that you'll probably recognize. Yeah, you can see the dates kind of going between 1867 and 1946. Is that the last one? No, not quite. There's a couple more on the back over here, so going up to 2014, as you can see there. But very, very interesting stuff. The reason I bought this is because I couldn't find anything online that would give me an idea of the quality of the British Library collection, which is insane, right? So let me just focus in on this a little bit. It is a paper board. It's a little bit textured, a little tiny bit textured, but it is paper board, and you've got this kind of shiny stamp on it. Like, there was nothing anywhere that I could find to say if it was board, or if it was going to be glossy, or if it was going to be laminated, you know, or if it was going to be fabric or buckram, or just no information anywhere. So, you know, just renders of the cover, no actual photographs of the actual books, which is shocking, really. Given how many there are, and there are quite a few out there. Let me just show you over here. It is perfect bound. Okay, the end papers are it's a very shocking lime green, and let's give you an idea of the paper. It's kind of opaque white, right? Very, very high quality paper, and very nice font. There's a nice distance between the lines, nice size of the text. It works quite well, in my opinion, and definitely a reasonable margin as well. They've done a very good job. I won't be buying any more because I don't like the production. I think that this could have possibly done with a dust jacket. You can see that the edges, the corners, they've been battered, and I think they might be a little bit too garish on the shelf. There we go. Still, very nice to get a close look at it. There we are. And next we've got a Book of Hekate, which is really a notebook that has been produced by Sarah Mastros in collaboration with a friend. I'm afraid I don't remember the name of the friend. So this is, it's really a print-on-demand notebook with a couple of pages at the front giving you ideas on how you could use this notebook. I like the fact that there's a table of contents over here for saying what you've done on what page and stuff, and you've got the Orphic hymn to Hekate on the front page over here. And then once you get through that table of contents, the few pages that she's given you for the table of contents, you also get the indication that right at the back you've got a couple more bits of information that I'll show you in a second, and then there is this Strophalos journaling meditation. So over here she gives you all the details on how to perform your daily meditations, to make a note of, and how to make petitions with this notebook, and so on and so forth. And right at the very end, if I can just get there, you have a little QR code to pick up the Orphic hymns translated by Sarah Mastros, and a few details over here about mugwort, a herb for Hekate. So as you can see, there's not very much written in here. It is mostly lined paper with a blank side on the left, which is quite nice, and then lined paper on the right, which is quite nice as well, right? So that means you can doodle and you can write on the page. So that's quite lovely. Next, we've got Egyptian Mythology, a traveler's guide from Aswan to Alexandria. This is one that I saw at Watkins Books, and I knew instantly that I was going to have to pick it up. It's really very nice. So I've started reading this one, and the way it goes is that the author Gary J. Shaw takes you on an excursion through Egypt, and in this excursion he points out the various temples that may or may not still be standing, and explains some of the myths that are associated with the gods that these temples are dedicated to. It's really so well written, it's very evocative, it makes you feel like you're traveling through time and throughout Egypt. It's a lovely book with some great descriptions of each of the gods. Yes, the author really makes those stories come to life. And since the whole thing is based on location, he makes you really feel like you're on location first, and then he says, oh, by the way, there's this interesting story about Isis that happened over here, or it's an interesting story about whichever other Egyptian god. And very cool stuff. I really loving this. I think that anyone picking this up is going to be surprised by how lovely the dust cover is. It's textured and you can feel that it's sturdy, but it feels really nice to the touch. I know many people don't like dust covers, but this is an example of dust covers done well. Yeah, good stuff. Next, we've got a mystical commentary on the Book of Lambspring. So this is David Hynes-Smith's latest paperback book. You know that he's had quite a series of these coming out recently, and I think that anyone interested in David Hynes-Smith's work and also interested in alchemy is going to be really very interested in his commentary on this fascinating alchemical text, which he approaches really from the perspective of the mystical contemplative, which is really his approach. And so you get these lovely alchemical illustrations and the actual text that goes with the Book of Lambspring, and then his commentary on each of those pages. So there's a couple of pages of commentary, and then he goes on to figure number 2, and you can see that it's really very cool, and it gives you a really nice insight into the purpose of David Hynes-Smith's system and the reason why he does everything the way he does it, and yeah, just his whole way of approaching mysticism is very nice, lovely, and quite approachable compared to some of David Hynes-Smith's work, which isn't always so approachable, but this really is very nice stuff. Then we've got Cunning Folk by Tabitha Stanmore. I'd say this is probably one of the biggest releases of this month. And this is the UK edition. You'll see that it's a little bit less garish than the very bright pink US edition. It's published by the Bodley Head. That's the UK edition at least. And I'll give you an idea of what the cover looks like. It's just a slightly textured paper board. There we go. Very nice. And yes, I've read a couple of chapters from this as well. It's very entertaining, very interesting, getting an idea of how people used to think about cunning folk, not to be confused with witches. So people used to use the word witch to talk about a magic practitioner who worked against people, and cunning folk to talk about magic practitioners who were mainly all about helping people to find lost property, helping people to recover from bad health, and helping people to find love, or helping people to do various things that would help them in their lives, right? How to gain stuff, and how to stage magic, and so on and so forth. I particularly enjoyed how vividly she describes everything, how she really sets the scene, how she really makes everything come to life through her narrative. Very, very easy to read, very enjoyable to read, and it gives you a wonderful historical context for the magic being described. This is not a how-to, it's much more for people who are interested in the history of magic rather than for people who are interested in how to save lives, for example, right? You'll get some ideas of what people reported about somebody, say, getting revenge or whatever. But no, this isn't a recipe book per se, okay? So next isn't exactly a book, although a book is included. It is the Grail Tarot by John Matthews with cards illustrated by Giovanni Caselli. This is a Templar vision, and if I hop down here, I'll be able to show you what's inside the box. You can see that there's actually a pretty large book that comes with the set. This is the book that describes the tarot deck, and then the cards themselves are not a traditional tarot size. I've not been able to find any kind of card sleeve that would actually fit this size. It's 12 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. There's 12 by 8 that I've been able to find, but not 12 by 7.5. And it is looking at the story of the Grail from many different sources, and using figures from the story of the Grail. And you'll see that the cards actually complement each other. Put them in a proper line here, more or less. Sorry if your OCD is triggered as much as mine is there, but yeah, I'm just trying to give you a vague idea of how that works. I saw this looking for a tarot that was related to Arthurian myth, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I like this so much. I like this Renaissance painting style so much. I'm going to pick one up for myself, and of course I've been reading Dion Fortune's A Path to the Grail, and I've been enjoying that so much that it seemed like a very reasonable next tarot to pick up. I'm just, as I was saying, a little bit sorry that I can't find any sleeves for this size, but I don't think that that's going to be a bother for most people. Every time that I mention that I sleeve my cards, people go, "What? You're putting plastic on your cards? How can you have any kind of energetic connection to your cards if you've got plastic?" Well, it works perfectly fine for me. I've been using sleeves for many years, and my tarot readings are just fine. So yeah, don't worry about putting sleeves on your tarot decks. I just like to have sleeves on mine because it keeps the cards fresh, keeps the fingerprints off, it keeps the edges slippery, and so you can shuffle them very, very easily and get an easy shuffle. But yeah, these are really, really lovely cards. Look at that. Bit of collage going on, as you can see. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. There we go. And then in the book itself, you have a description of each of the cards, along with a question for each of the cards. So you can draw a card and find out what the question that corresponds to that card might be. And it's a useful question in most cases. You draw a card and then you find out what you should be thinking about. It's quite cool. And the introduction, which is only a few pages long, but taught me more about the Templars than most other sources, actually, and about the various origins for the Grail stories and so on. Very, very, very interesting stuff. yeah, so that's a strong recommendation. And then not exactly esoteric or occult related, this is Beginning Illumination, learning the ancient art step by step. Really very, very cool stuff. I've actually started another channel. I don't want to share the details of that other channel quite yet. I'd like it to grow a little bit organically first before I let you know, but it's a little bit more art oriented and just general education oriented, and a little bit less esoteric and occult oriented. And yeah, I was hoping to do a little bit of illumination myself, so why not? I picked up this very, very lovely book with great step-by-step instructions on how to do proper medieval style illumination, like what materials to use, if you want to use the original materials or if you want to use modern materials. You have all the details for all of that. And then you have, yes, several projects. I think there's about 7 or 8 projects in there that you can do yourself and do some proper medieval style illumination. I'm quite excited to get into this. Lovely. Yeah, that's the goal, I guess. The end goal. There we are, that's what I've got for you for today. Thank you ever so much for watching as always. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and to subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to support the channel, then of course there's a link to the Patreon down below. And I'll take this opportunity to send a big thank you to all the Level Infinity members: David Venturini, Caitlin Kopok, Aritz Murueta Ramos, Linda Hendricks, Stephen Hunter, Susanna Red Elfs, Thomas, and Bill Shea. Thank you so much for your support, and also a very special thank you to all the Level 3 members whose names you can see scrolling up on the left over here. If you'd like to book a one-to-one conversation with me, then you can find the links to that down below as well. Please look after yourselves and each other, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Take care. Bye-bye.